Welcome back, everyone. Very interesting discussion. Happy to have with us David Plazas. He is the opinion editor with Tennessean, and we're talking about Nashville. We just had a big mayor's race. New mayor is about to be sworn in on Saturday. And so what challenges does he face? What kind of drove the last election? What is driving just the feel that we all have right now in Nashville? And happy to have with us again David Plazas, opinion editor with Tennessean. Let's go to Lucy now, who is on line 1. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, y'all.
Hey. Hey.
Well, I caught the morning show today at 3 o'clock with Mr. Mendez and Mr. Glover. And, I agree with, a lot of the stuff they say when it comes to being fiscally conservative, but there's a lot of stuff I don't agree with them on. And if I had one of those smart TVs, they could hear me cussing them every now and then. But I just think this is a time for Nashville to woe pony it, reset everything. And I agree with everything you said in the beginning, Mr. Plazas, about, the question, is this really a progressive city? I don't see it that way. I came up in Nashville, and my people have been around here for generations. To me, Nashville was a place that you could open a small business, and you knew the small businessmen. And when we had a recession, they didn't lay everybody off because they didn't have to answer to stockholders on Wall Street. And they would keep people on, and we would make it through. Everybody always could find some sort of little job somewhere in between. And now it's like we've got ball teams coming from the United Arab Immigrants for the soccer team. We got the baseball team coming out of Ohio. All these people are picking these spots here. And it's not really dumping back into the natives here. When they built that convention center, this is what I saw a loss of. They brought in from Texas and Michigan these construction workers. And our plumbers and carpenters and finish workers and electricians here who lived in Madison and Englewood and East Nashville couldn't get work, so they were losing their homes. And historically, they've always kept their homes. But they were hiring outside people to bring in, and we were told we can't do it. So they're gone now. So if you need something done on your home and your income hasn't gone up 1,500% in the past 10 years, instead of paying what I know, I've done construction bids, I've done all types of blue-collar bids on labor and materials. But when you have somebody come in and tell you that this is a $6,000 job, when you know darn good and well it's not worth a penny over $800, and then they tell you they want 50% up front, I'm like, this is Nashville. You get paid when you're finished. So they're robbing people. People are used to these big Wall Street contracts that they're getting downtown. They're used to these big state and city jobs or these privatizations now.
Right,
and then
right.
This is what we get as the consumer, the residents here. We're getting gouged at those prices. So it's being harder and harder to be a senior in this town, where it wasn't that way before.
Right.
So I really think, listen to Mr. Glover and Mr. Mendez, this is some serious stuff. I do not think that we will survive a recession. This is a tourist economy, and with what we changed the city to, we will not be the Nashville that we've been in the past, because we're locked and loaded and drunk and hee-hawing it all over the place.
All right, Lucy,
so,
thank
Mr.
you.
Mendez, I agree with what you said. It's more of a capitalist Wall Street city now, and no more small businessmen, and we've thrown the recording studio people out in the street too, and the songwriters.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy.
Well, one area, and that angst there is what exists, but one area that I can say that is a really powerful thing here in Nashville is that this is a city of entrepreneurs as well, whether it's in the healthcare field or elsewhere, and so there is opportunity. And the question is, competition and skills and wages. And there was a referendum a few years ago that the people passed overwhelmingly to provide a portion of jobs for metro projects to local residents, and that was preempted by the state. And so we've had a lot of things that have happened, unfortunately, that we're not able to compete with those against those economic forces. And again, that's what led to my phrase about being an opportunistic and capitalistic city. We're taking advantage of these opportunities, which can be good, but again, they're keeping a lot of people out who can't or don't know how to compete. We have some positive things that are seeds again in the future, like the Nashville grad program that I mentioned, but also the Tennessee Promise that Bill Haslam had created to allow for free community college and technical college, and now the UT Promise that Randy Boyd, the interim president of the University of Tennessee, has rolled out to allow people who come from families making $50,000 or less to get a free public university education across the state of Tennessee.
In your column, again, you said Nashville, let's be real, Nashville is not a progressive city. It's a highly capitalistic and opportunistic city. That has opened many opportunities for those able to take them, but the city has not yet measured up in terms of equity. So you've seen that people have been left behind.
Yes.
Where do you think we are headed? Lucy says we're a tourist economy. We couldn't sustain a recession. In terms of equity, we have not yet measured up, is what you said. Are we headed in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Again, it depends where you are on the economic scale. I think there's a lot of opportunity to be had, especially compared to other markets. The question is who gets to take advantage of those. If you're coming from another state that has a high income tax, that has a lot less friendly business environment, this is still a wonderful place to come. Mitsubishi is moving from California to Middle Tennessee. That's a huge deal, and that's great for the property tax and business tax base that's here in this state. When it comes to longtime Nashvillians and native Nashvillians, I'll tell you just a very quick story. I was in a Lyft ride coming from an event, and we were going toward downtown area, and the Lyft driver looked at me. We talked about the transit referendum that failed last year, and she said, people like you are ruining this city. And she apologized, but then she said, it's just that, I'm from Madison, and I can no longer afford to be in that city. And the irony, of course, is that she's driving for a service that services the business class and tourists and so forth. And so this is a reality. And again, Nashville is not alone in this. This is affecting cities across America. The question is, how can we mitigate it the best we can? The education aspect of it is one we have to take a look at very carefully. If you look back in 1969, there were about 96,000 students in the school district. Today, with 40% more population in Nashville, we have 85,000 students in the school district, and you have a population that's much more low income, much more minority. A lot of families who are more affluent, who are white, have either taken their kids to suburban school districts or into the private or parochial schools, and that's a choice. People have a right to make that choice, but the question is, what does it do to our investment in the public good? And public schools are a public good, for example.
All right, very interesting. All right, we have to take a break. Tiffany, others, hold on. We'll get to your call. Take a break. Be back right after this.